Okay, this is the third video here for the World War I lesson, and this topic right now we'll talk about is called the Armenian Genocide. Hashtag Terminator. Now, let's focus on the word genocide. The word genocide, if you look at the first three letters of the word genocide, you see G-E-N. G-E-N, when you think of the word letters three, G-E-N, think of the Spanish word gente, which is the Spanish word for people. So if you think of the word homicide, is when you murder somebody. Genocide is when you try to murder an entire people. Armenia is a small country east of Turkey. It's a very old country, and Armenia it's kind of in between Turkey and Russia. So if we take a look at the map right here, here's Turkey, a rather large country, and Armenia today is this area right here, but their historic homeland is this entire area we see here if you follow my arrow. Armenians, you can find them in the small country of Georgia, Azerbaijan, Iran, Iraq, a little part of Syria here, and a huge chunk of Turkey is where Armenians have historically lived. Now, we have some really close ties to Armenia here in Arosi. Not too far from us here is a small town of Yedim. Maybe you live there, but the word Yedim is an Armenian name. It's an Armenian word it's the Armenian name for heaven. In their language, that's what it means. And when you think of Yedim, you don't think of heaven, but if you go there to our Yedim, there's a huge church there, and it is called an Armenian Orthodox church. It's one of the Armenians from all over, actually the West Coast, have come there for services and other celebrations. It's actually a very thriving church in a very small town. You might be kind of surprised to see how popular that church is, considering its location. Now, in the World War I, Turkey, which this time was called the Armenian Empire. I'm sorry, the Ottoman Empire. My bad. Ottoman Empire. They were Central Powers, and one of their big rivals and enemies was Russia, and Russia was part of the Allies, which was on the same side as the United States and England and France, Serbia, and in this case, so a lot of Armenians lived in Turkey, but the thing is, when Russia came to attack, the Ottomans found out that a lot of the Armenians helped the Russians. So as payback, the Armenians who lived in Turkey were forced out of their homeland, this area here, and forced into Syria, down here where you see my arrow. And they were forced to march. And part of their march, a lot of them were the Armenians were either kicked out of their land or they were slaughtered. Somewhere between 600,000 and 1.5 million Armenians either had to be moved or were killed. This is an actual picture of dead Armenian bodies at the hands of Ottoman Turk soldiers. It was one of the saddest times in all of human history. So the reason why we talk about this one's hashtag Terminator is exactly what the Terminator was trying to do in all the Terminator movies, killing people. Okay, again, going back to the word genocide. Genocide is when you not just try to kill one person, an entire race of people. As we're going to find out when we go to World War II in the spring, the Germans are going to try to kill the Jewish people, and they're going to kill a lot more of it. That's one of the most famous, or in other words, infamous genocides in world history. But before that, a very forgotten sometimes genocide is the Armenian Genocide. There are because of this, many Armenians fled their home, and thousands of them moved to America. Many of them settled right here in the Central Valley, and they're some of the most successful farmers in the valley. They are Armenians. A lot of successful businessmen. One of the most famous basketball coaches of all time is Jerry Tarkanian. He's Armenian, and he coached Fresno State and many other colleges to national championships. And he's actually a Hall of Fame coach. Whenever you see a lot of last names where it ends in IAN, that's a sign that they are probably Armenian. There's even some teachers in our district and other employees who actually are Armenian. So there's a lot of them in our area, and part of the reason why they're here because their ancestors fled the Armenian genocide. They fled for their life to get away from this. So the next thing we'll talk about is the Russians are going to drop out of the war. Okay, the Russians were an ally. This is a big, huge help for Germany. The Germans were afraid of the Russians, of how powerful they could be. But eventually the Russians are just going to give up on the war and say, okay, we're done. We're out of here. We don't care anymore. And left the rest of the fighting to the French and the British. and the Italians, and eventually us, the United States. So we're going to call this one hashtag Mandilon Problems. If you don't know what a Mandilon is, a Mandilon is usually a guy who is pretty much bossed around by his girlfriend or his wife. So after 3 years of fighting, the Russian people pretty much said to the government, "We're done. Get your butts back home. This is not. It's not working. It's not working for Russia. The government, they said, is corrupt. You guys are not doing a good job of fighting this war. Because of the war, the total war, we put all of our effort and our money and our food toward the war. People back home are starving. Millions of Russians were killed in the fighting. So a new power in Russia kind of kicks out the royal family of Russia. This time, the Russia is ruled by a king. In Russia, the word they use for king is called a czar, spelled TSR, or it could also be spelled CZR, CZAR. And the czar, the royal family, his family got kicked out by a group of people called the communists. The communists were led by this man here, Vladimir Lenin. And communists are people who like to pretty much say that this is how our government's going to work. Instead of having a royal family, instead of having people voting, the government owns everything. And because the government owns everything, they guarantee everybody will have a job, a place to live, and food on the table. The Russian people heard this from Lenin and were like, heck yeah, get rid of the stupid royal family. We're starving because of this war he wants us to fight. Well, yeah, we want a new government. We want your ideas, Lenin, because we're hungry. We want a place to live. Help us out. So as a result, Lenin says, all right, we're done with the war. We're going to totally restructure Russia, make a whole new government, and make it so much better for the Russian people. And the Central Powers, which would have been Germany and Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire, were like, yes, big bad Russia is out of the way. That gives us a better chance of winning the war. So think of the Russian army and government being like the man here, and the Russian people being like the dominating wife here. He's like a mandilon. The wife said, you got to come home. So shortly after the Russians left the war, we decided to end. So enter the Americans. Hashtag Kevin Durant. If you're not a basketball fan, let me give you some background. Kevin Durant's one of the best basketball players currently alive and probably will go down as one of the greatest basketball players ever. But Kevin Durant used to play for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and for years, Kevin Durant's team could never beat the Golden State Warriors. They could never make it and win the championship. Well, Kevin Durant, when good teams around the league found out he wanted to leave Oklahoma City and go play for a better team to a chance to win a championship, teams were lining up to get him to join their team. But lo and behold, he actually joins the team he could never beat, the Golden State Warriors. So a year after he leaves Oklahoma City, he joins the Warriors with superstar Steph Curry, and they're virtually unstoppable, and they win the entire NBA championship. So this is kind of the situation here. The United States was that big, awesome player that everybody wanted to join on their side. The Central Powers wanted them on their side. The Allies wanted them on their side. Well, pretty much we were never going to really join Germany and the Ottoman Empire and Austria-Hungary. Never really were. And here's some reasons why. Number one, England was an ally, and we've been good friends with England since the beginning. Hell, we used to be part of England, and we kind of remained friends ever since we left. On the second side, we also felt really bad for France because the Germans kind of sucker punched them and started really messing up France. Even though France never gave up to Germany, we felt bad for France. We're like, you know what? So the Allies, England and France, we feel sorry for you. We think we should join you guys and help you out because we're good friends with England. We feel bad for France. This should be the side that we join. But one of the things that really made us not join the Central Powers was Germany. Germany tried to use our own next door neighbor, Mexico, against us. A German diplomat, last name Zimmerman, we catch a message that he sends to the government of Mexico, a secret message where the message says, hey, Mexico, if you guys attack the United States and prevent them from joining in the war with the Allies, When the war's over, after we won, we will help you. We will help you win back territory in the United States that used to be owned by Mexico. So we intercept this message and we're like, oh, hell no. Germany's trying to go through our back door, through our next door neighbor, and turn them against us. Oh, there's no way we'll ever join the Central Powers. So as a result, we join the Allies. And by the time we join, there's no way the Allies can lose. The Germans and the Ottoman Empire and the Austria-Hungary, after 4 years of war, they're tired. And you bring in a fresh, ready-made, strong American army, all of our money, all of our soldiers, all of our weapons that we started contributing, the Central Powers didn't stand a chance. So think of this as like when the Hulk enters the battle in the first Avengers movie. The Captain America just says Hulk smash. So you think of the power the Hulk brings. That was kind of when the United States enters the war at this time. It's almost like it's not even fair. So as a result, very quickly, the Allies are going to win the war. So the very end of the war, the United States joins in. It's a matter of time. The Germany, the Central Powers, they have to give up. So at the end of the war, we're going to go this one, call it hashtag drop the hammer. So the war is over. Germany finally gives up. The war ends on November 11th, 1917. It actually it's kind of funny how the actual time when the war ended. It was at the 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of the year. Go figure. So it was 11:11 a.m. on November 11th in 1917. Germany finally says, "All right, we give up. Central Powers, we're done. This war, really nobody has really won this war. It's just no one gained any territory. Just a big fight to show off how bad and awesome we were, and millions of people died. It's kind of a sad thing." So finally, after the United States enters the war, on the side of the Allies, the Germans and the Central Powers realize we have no chance. Let's just give up. So there's a big meeting and a peace treaty signed. It's called the Treaty of Versailles. It was signed at the same palace that was built by King Louis of France to show off how rich and powerful he was hundreds of years earlier. At that palace in France is where all the Allies met, and they decided how the war was going to end and who was going to pay for it. Well, pretty much all of the blame got placed on Germany. They were punished big time, just like you see over there in the GIF there with baby Ned Flanders being punished, being spanked. It was a huge punishment on Germany. They had to pay for everything, and it ruined Germany for the next 20 years. And what's going to happen? Germany's going to get so ruined and be so embarrassed that it's going to lead to the rise of Hitler and the next World War. As we're going to find out, the end of World War I is going to set up World War II.